Hi again. So this video is just about skill 4.8, which is about finding case law. I'm going to take you through the 4 ways to do that, at least the 4 best ways to do that. That is to use a statute's annotations, and then to use Shepards, or what's called Shepardizing a case, and then to use the publisher's outline, and then finally to use the search bar. So to start, we're going to do annotations, because that's the best way to go from step 3 of the research process, searching in codified law, to step 4, searching case law. So we'll use Westlaw for this. And in Westlaw, I've pulled up the statute here. And then do you see where it says notes of decisions? This means here that 790 cases have cited to this statute. So we can click on that. Okay, and then you can see here that West and Lexis does this as well. They do a nice job of, they give us a kind of a table of contents of all of the cases that have interpreted our statute. And you see how they've organized them by the factor: purpose and character, nature, amount used, effect on the market. Those are the factors. So we can just look up one at a time and go through each factor and find more case law. Or we can go here to the generally and get kind of a general overview of this area of law. So again, this is in addition to what we found in step 2 through Nimmer, the copyright treatise. We found lots of stuff, but now we're just exhausting our research to make sure that we didn't miss anything. Okay, and then the second thing to do is we could Shepardize a case. So you have to have a known case. So we already found Campbell. So I'm just going to take the citation for that and plug that into Westlaw and pull that up. So now we can look here under citing references, and if I hover over it, it says that 660 cases have cited this Campbell case. That tells me for sure that Mr. Nimmer was right. In the treatise it said that Campbell is seminal. Well, that proves it. So I'm going to click on 660 cases, and then I'm going to use the filters on the left. And in Lexis and Westlaw, all the filters are on the left side of the screen. Use those filters to find what you're looking for. I like to just narrow it, first of all, to just binding authority. So I can use the filter for jurisdiction and put in here the Sixth Circuit. I can also search within results and look just for parody cases, or look for song within the same sentence as parody. Things like that. So definitely use the filters to get just what you want. Okay, so that is using that's called Shepardizing. Shepardizing now is a term that Lexis owns, but generically it means see what other courts have cited your case. And in Westlaw it's called key cite, and in Lexis it's called Shepardizing, but it's all the same thing. So anyway. Shepardize your case, focus just on cases, but then for sure use your filters and look within just certain jurisdictions, search within those 660 cases and find more. Okay, so the third way is to use a publisher's outline, and that largely means using the head notes of a case. So I pulled up Campbell again because it's a really good case, and look at the head notes here. Each one of these little snippets, each one of these head notes is part of this huge outline of the law. Lexis has their own, Westlaw has one, they're pretty much the same. And they tell you which part of the outline you're in. And so we can go down here and see that, like, here, head note 6 talks about parody. So we can click on this, 35 more cases cite this head note here. And over here, this is called the key number, 99K 53.2. That's the specific topic that we're actually looking at, which is fair use in general, and then more specific to parody. So we can click on that and get even more cases. Okay, so that was the third way to find cases, which is to use a publisher's outline or topic system. The fourth way is to use the search bar, and be sure to always set your jurisdiction to whatever you think is, or not whatever you think, but whatever is binding. So for us, that's the Sixth Circuit and the United States Supreme Court. And then if we don't find enough, then we can expand out to other jurisdictions. But this is where you get to play around with your terms and connectors that you learned about in chapter 1. So we could just do things like parody, same sentence as song, and see what kind of cases we get. Now, whatever you get on the next screen, you want to make sure that you focus just on case law. So here it looks like there's 11 cases in the Sixth Circuit and the Supreme Court. We got Campbell, so that's good news. We're doing something right. This is just the a lower court version of Campbell, so we can ignore that. Lower court version, we could ignore that. Okay, here's a couple more. But anyway, you can just play around. If parody doesn't do it, in your research, you realize satire is kind of a different thing, and that's probably closer to what we actually have. It's a type of satire, so you could search for that. Okay, so in doing all of these 4 things, which took me, a good couple of hours, I came up with several different cases. And I created a chart that looks like this, where I have columns for the case, the court that it's in, so I know whether it's binding or not, the type of work, whether it's a song or a photo, whether the court felt, the court's holding, and then the court's reasoning. So when I do a chart like this, I can quickly see what I should use and what I shouldn't use. So we're going to talk later in this section about choosing the cases to use, but I think you kind of have a good idea of where we're heading from this chart here.